Alright guys, Sunday morning, doing a little bit of an update, where we are, what we're doing. I'm starting to outline different things, so we have a look. At the moment it's still a bit sketchy because I'm still working on it, but as I said before, keep my mortgage costs up here. This is where I want to end up, it's about £250,000. I haven't put the current value on there because we're checking the bank account. YouTube videos we'll keep making. I put them up on the top here. Ideas for what I want to do, which starts with Excel videos because I can turn them quite quick and can do a lot of them. Ebooks, varying from Spain, Philippines, from being a teenage boy to a man, because I think that one of the things that I've realised, not just with my own son, but just the way politics is today, even though I hate the bloody thing, I've got a bit of a responsibility to even my own child to actually start putting more masculine stuff out there. You know, it doesn't need to be a big push on Confederate flags and all that stuff, which is the way the media seem to think everything is when you talk masculinity, but I think that's the point. You need to feed some real stuff in there. Then about life cycle, which is the stuff I specialise in, and corporate madness, which is a bit of a, I'll leave that open because that could be, there's a few ideas from that, from a comedy version of the type of work we do to one that's sort of very relatable to people, to understand that it's not them, it's the industries that are. Online store, then it's even that's broadened out. Is that on Spain? Is it on UK? Is it on technology? Is it around, like I start doing more Excel stuff? Is it specific to that? Do I start doing one on camera equipment? Start expanding it out. Consulting, obviously it is what it is. Call centre, we've got a building sat there, computer sat there. We can use that. I've got to work out what we're going to do with it. And the final one's online services, which sort of ties in with the consulting a bit at the minute, but it may not be consulting in the sense of my work consulting. It could be consulting around how do you set a call centre up. There's another book. I need to put that one on the list because that's one people keep bugging me about. Put the board a little bit low for my writing, so I look like a doctor's handwriting at the minute. Yeah, I mean, setting up a call centre, I try not to get too involved in it because it's very easy to make a lot of expensive mistakes. But one of the things I'm starting to do more these days is starting to open up a bit on some of the risks, because I've had a few people make stupid risks and stupid ideas off the back of something I was doing without fully understanding it. Then lost money. And bear in mind, I didn't advise them to do it. I didn't tell them how to invest. I didn't recommend doing it. They did it anyway, but it becomes my fault somehow. Absolutely nuts. So the only thing with it I can say on that is, anything I'm saying, you're going to have to be a big boy on it and actually make your own decisions, because I've got to start looking at this from my perspective rather than trying to cover all the bases, which I've done historically, trying to simplify things and keep people from doing something stupid. But we need to start making some money, which involves risk. So the outline's there. The next thing I want to say is don't overthink things. So like there, you could overthink any one of those things for ages. 40% of all billionaires are engineers. And part of this is a bit like the conversation I had with Jay. This was going back some time, and Jay made a lot of money on it, the same as I did when we did the crypto markets. You can look at it as a Ponzi scheme. You can look at it as trying to revolutionise the world's financial institutes and blah, blah, blah. Engineers overthink by nature. It's just a natural thing. What if this happens? What's this? What's this? Reality is, you've got to take all that out of it and go, can you make money on it? If the answer is yes, the rest of it's secondary. And that's what I did. I was like, bit the bullet and says, yeah, this looks like it'll work. And we jumped in. And we spent a year on it. We made some decent money on it. And then we come back out again. Then Jay went back in, made a load of money when I went off to do these jobs that I'm currently doing. And I'm just waiting for the next cycle, and I'll jump back in. Now, one thing I will say about the crypto market, why it's not on there, is because of the legalities around it. Because people can lose a lot of money and then whinge about, oh, somebody said I should do this and so on. No, you make your own decisions. But I've more of a risk on the legality side on that side, hence it's not on the board. Because I'm not telling anybody how to invest, and I don't even want people following me on my investments, because when I lose money, I write it off. I'm not worried about it, because when I start trading, I do it on, put a small amount in, and I work that money up hard, in the sense of I can day trade. I know how to just keep it moving till it starts breaking out. I can do that. Where I have an issue is the time. When you're day trading, it takes a lot of time. So I only do that as an initial one, and then I'll start moving into other things once the cash flow is built up. But in all honesty, my day job pays more than my day trading does. So yeah, it's not because I'm conservative on the day trading, because the whole point is, the reason I'm building it up is to reduce my overall risk, but then I'm conservative so I don't have a risk in my day trading, if you know what I mean. So if you, like for example, if I put $100 in, that's $100, that's real money. If I build it up to $1,000, what's it worth of real money? $100. The 900 is the investment, where if I make money on it or lose it, not bothered. The $100 is the important bit. That's why ROI, return on investment support, you take it back out, take that first 100 out, and it's cost you nothing going forward. Hence, I've got money sat in crypto at the moment. There's been there, I don't know, about 4 years, and I can start trading that up. Got to find my wallets first, which I've got all my codes so I can access it. But I can see there's loads of money sat me. Well, not loads. Anywhere between $1,000 and $24,000 worth of investments. So the point being is, overthinking can be a bad thing. So when you have an idea and you think it's going to work, run with it. Now, I'll talk to you from an experience point of view. In the Philippines, we started off, what was it? We did the first apartments and rented the apartments out, and that's when we used to have, I had a friend, funny enough, he rented an apartment for I think 2 years as his domicile, because he was never there, because it was just so that he didn't pay tax in the UK, because he could write off the fact that he's not in the UK, he's in the Philippines. Although he wasn't in the Philippines because he's always working, because he worked in Asia, China, in the Middle East. So he wasn't in the UK or the Philippines predominantly, but he needed a address to recognise that he wasn't there. So he used to pay bills on the building that wasn't there yet, which actually funded building the building, because you've got somebody paying the electric, the water, rent on a building that doesn't exist yet. And that sort of thing works well, if you've got that type of funding coming in for something that's not there yet. That's fantastic. So properties can work in the Philippines. Rents are often low. I mean, I get people go, oh, why don't you spend money on TVs and all this sort of stuff and upgrade the properties? The main reason is they break. And tenants are often very bad there. They'll steal stuff. They'll disappear at 2 o'clock in the morning. You want to keep it simple, cheap, and just keep it churning. So, I mean, the property rentals work quite well out there. They tick over. Even now, they pay like my mother-in-law's medical bills, all that sort of stuff. And I just leave it. When I go over next time, I'm sure I'm going to need to invest a little bit for an overhaul. We've still got an apartment that needs finishing. But it works. The peso machines, which are basically coin slot, we call it coin slot computer systems. I bought one, I stripped it down, I learned how to build another one, learn how to program the slot machines, learn how to make the cabinets, and I built them from scratch. I ended up, I think we had about 5 in the end. I could see the interest because we had an internet cafe we built an internet cafe. Could see people sitting there and you're thinking, you know what, I don't need to be here. I've got people in here with the fans on, the cooling on. You know, people go, oh, get a fridge, get this. It's like, these people are paying like small amounts. So, but you find locals, they're used to the climate, not really bothered about sitting outside. In fact, they often like sitting outside because they can sit there with their friends making a noise. And they just built these like arcade machines, bolted them to the side of the house, and turned the internet cafe into a flat, rented it out. Still made the same amount of money from 5, let's call it vending machines or peso machines, as I did with the internet cafe. The difference is I'm not sat there, fully automated. You just go in, empty the cash out the bottom. What a great job. So that starts with one idea. The internet cafe was the original. Then when you move it to vending, you start automating it. Same as I didn't go high-end computers because most people just do web chat. Internet infrastructure wasn't great, so there's no point going full-blown gaming because unless they're doing LAN gaming on a local network, you wouldn't get a great connection. But you can get a lot more people on chats and video calls than you can on gaming. So let's face it, they're paying the same amount whether they're doing one or the other. So getting cheaper computers and a cheaper setup with better cameras is better than trying to do gaming on a system that is limited due to the way the access to the internet was. Point was, didn't overthink it, got the peso machine set up, got it working, got it generating cash, and then if I need to do something from there, you do it. And then we've had lots of other stuff, and then we get onto the call centre. The call centre was quite an easy one. Because I'd already come back, I was coming back from Oman at the time, and a lot of data that needed changing, converting from paper into a digital format, and I basically paid, I think it was like a penny a sheet or something to get all these documents done, which was actually paying okay, you know, when the people went into it. Was it a penny? It might be more than a penny, I can't remember, but let's put it this way, they're quite happy doing it because it paid okay. Another way I work, this may work for you, may not, is it may sound like underpay, but then I actually slip people extra money because they actually did what I wanted. Because I'd rather pay based on merit rather than a wage. I'm not a fan of wages, I'm a fan of earning it. So like that, there'd be extra money in there. But it started from there. That then funded the first 6 computers. We ended up with starting with 2 people, Didn't make any money for about 6 weeks, but at the same time I was trying to work out the IT issues. And then we hit pot luck by getting somebody who's actually good at sales. They come in and they got the other two working, in the sense of teach them how to do sales. Then that went from 2 to 6, then 6 to eventually 45 people. But the initial ones were costing me money. That's why I put a basic pay in, which I think back then was 1,500 pesos a week, because I paid weekly, because all the other ones seem to pay monthly, and even then there seems to be a lot of delays on getting money paid to people. So my view was, you work Monday to Friday, you'll get paid on Friday that week, not next week, that week. Because I knew the money was important. You think, 1.5, that's nothing. You're right, it's not supposed to be your wage. Everything else was bonus related. So some of our staff were in, I think our top sales woman she was doing about 20,000 pesos a week. Now, if you look at how much 80,000 pesos a month is in the Philippines, most people ain't getting that. In fact, back then, I think the average pay was 6,000 pesos a month. So there's people making good money there, and the advantage of doing it on a low-paid structure where you can go like this quite easily is if you're underperforming. I didn't come around ringing a bell and hassling you into sales. I put you among salespeople. It may take you 2 months to get as good as they are, or scratch the surface, because some of them are really good. But you had a guaranteed 1.5 every week until you actually started making money, and then you either make the money or you realise it's not for you, and you make the decision to leave. Because I had a few people that weren't great, but there's nothing wrong with that. I hate sales myself. I don't like doing it. Where's your biggest financial risks on that? Firstly, it's getting paid by clients, which is why our partner was in New York. Second one is IT infrastructure. So one of the big problems with the IT side is the servers crash, they stop dialing, they have problems. And getting somebody remote to do it would be about, I think it's about between $200 and $500 to come and fix it, which is normally about an hour's work. But when we started, while we only had a few people, I locked myself away for a month, and I learned how to program the servers from scratch. I hadn't used Asterix or Ubuntu or Linux before. I literally just learned it out of need. Which meant it gave us a good advantage over other call centres, because the IT support was me. Which also meant all my data is also secure, because I know a lot of the call centres, their IT guys were trying to sell this guy their data, which, no, it's not for me, because it means those same people could put me in the same situation where behind my back they're selling everything left, right and centre. Hence, when we moved to Europe, I locked it up. I've mothballed it. Wasn't out of we're making losses or anything else, because let's face it, I bought the building, I bought all the computers, I've renovated the building. We were doing okay. It was just a fact. We got the typhoons, earthquakes, and the kids were just getting to that age where they're about to start school. UK was going all Brexity, so using the Schengen route into Europe, because I did not want to be locked into the UK permanently either. So it wasn't a case of wanting to go there and have a settlement for 5 years. So April and that's stuck there. especially after spending some time there. I just thought UK is not for me. It's not the place I left. I'll keep that positive, so we'll just move on. The point being is, everything I do hasn't been 100% thought out from the start, because if you did, you're overthinking it. Because you probably won't do it. Because I've had somebody not pay a bill for $16,000 before. But at the same time, it was a weak styling. I assumed there was risk there. So I had other people working on other contracts. So I took a hit. It was funded. The guys didn't lose their wages. It didn't knock the call centre down. We diversified. You know, we had more than one lead in there. Because other call centres got burned by some of these Americans. And a guy that pretended to be American that was from Bangladesh. Because what they do is they try and expand how many people are using your call centre so that they can hold your finances, because they're that into you financially that you can't get rid of them. You need their payments, and they're behind on payments, and I don't work that way. As soon as you start going that way, bye. Not interested, because you're taking too much risk. Now, some of you out there will go, well, that's how business works these days. That's how Tesco's was going bust by screwing over its farmers. It's how Carillion went bankrupt. It's not a good working model. A good working model is actually churning your money about every 30 days, making sure everybody's paid, everyone's happy. And it's not just ethical. It's the fact is you're trying to secure your supply chain. You're making sure they're getting paid so they can still continue with you next month. A lot of the business practices out there are just stupid. It's just pure greed by people that aren't really business people. They're bean counters, they're bloody accountants. They don't have to deal with the fallout. Don't have to deal the realities that when companies don't want to work with you because you're a bad payer, it's not a good environment to be in. So yeah, so the update today is a few bits and pieces, and I'll move away from these things because it's probably getting a bit boring. But the call centre I was making myself, after I paid everybody else about $17,000 a week, $17,000 a week, which isn't a bad going. Hence we could afford to buy the buildings, hence we could afford to have brand new computers for everybody, hence we could afford to renovate and other stuff, buy a big 4x4, travel, do lots of things. So my point being is the opportunities are there, and once you find where you can break out, you'll find you can jump quite quickly. It's not normally, so my phone's telling me it's going flat for some reason. It's not normally a million miles away from what you're doing already, or the opportunities aren't a million miles away. You know, for example, a friend of mine, it was funny because I bumped into him years later because I knew he was a neighbour of mine. He does window cleaning. Now, the thing is, a lot of these trades sort of fell by the wayside because people don't like getting their hands dirty, and I realised that a long time ago. That's why I used to deal with the council properties and getting them back fit for purpose, because a lot of people don't like dealing with the environment, but it was good money. You had a lot more control on it in the sense of council people don't work late, so you know, if it runs over, you know, you're going, oh well, kitchen's 90% complete, if we work till 8 o'clock tonight, oh, we don't pay overtime or whatever. It's like, fine, you come back tomorrow. They do not like doing anything that a normal business would do, which works to your advantage. But getting back to my point on the window cleaning, that guy used to be a council carpenter, and he was doing quite well as a carpenter, but wasn't making great money because one of the downsides is the cash flow, if you're direct, isn't great. It's normally the pensions are okay, but who wants to work until their pension's due? So he started window cleaning, and then when I see them next time, he had 10 people that were window cleaning. Because it was very easy to pick the work up because there was a shortage of people doing it. And that's the thing, a lot of the stuff out there, the opportunities are right on your doorstep. Now, he's still window cleaning himself, but having the 10 other people means he's making money off each one of them. Whether that's, let's say £5, well, let's just call it £50 a day off each one of them. So that's £500 a day plus his own income. That's not bad going. And the reason he would still be involved is to stop, because that's very client facing, it's very easy to somebody to rob you, your clients. The fact is, he realised that A, was paid more, B, was less hassle. You know, maybe like me, he likes building stuff, but at the same time, he can go out knowing his entire route for the day, got it all booked in. It's all a cash business as well. Cash is always king. And churn it around. You know, churn the money for the week. And doing very well out of it. I haven't seen a poor window cleaner, by the way. What I've normally seen is they're often going on holiday when I bump into them, and they try to do 2 weeks in 1 week type thing, because they normally have like the routes that every third Thursday they go and do misses, whatever. And instead they're going, well, I'm going on holiday for 2 weeks, so I'm doing everybody for the next 3 weeks, so I don't have to, nobody's going to poach their territory. But there's a lot of opportunities out there, and a lot of them are cash, and a lot of them avoid tax. And I've got to admit, just because you pay taxes doesn't mean you're smart. So let's face it, politicians avoid it. The top earners on the planet avoid it. And in fact, in America, a lot of the states actually, I believe, don't even tax you. You know, I know some of the companies don't get taxed. So that all seems a bit silly when people are saying, oh, ethically, you should be doing it ethically. Ethically, I should actually know what they're spending my money on and have a say on how that's used. But in reality, I don't. That's the main issue, isn't it? Because let's face it, we're paying for politicians out your wages, you're paying for everything out your wages, whether you like it or not. And a lot of stuff you would actually probably disagree with. So you just got to take all that sort of stuff into account. The main goal here is to get ahead. The main thing is not to get caught for tax evasion. And the main thing is to get to a place you want to be. Now myself, my board's starting to take shape. I'm starting to think about what I'm going to be reading up on today. The Excel vids, I can literally do those in Northampton. I'll just set the Apple Mac up and start a new channel and just churn those by the 100. Because I forget how simple some of the stuff is to me, where other people find it quite complex. I mean, I find it quite regular in work, because I do videos for people at work, and I'm going, well, you just do this. Because I think a lot of people are missing skill sets, and I think one of the big problems you have outside the box today is the training is atrocious and overpriced. I was on a Excel training course recently. I basically dialed off it. The guy was there, and he's like got the mouse, and you can see him looking at the screen, reading the same document that I've literally got in front of me. And I'm just like, this guy doesn't even know what he's doing. He's literally reading it as if he's reading it, but he's supposed to be presenting the training. And you think, how much did we just pay for that as a business? So even that, there is opportunities to do better, training better. And I like people feeding back and go, Matt, I prefer if you said it like this, or Matt, you went too fast, or whatever. Because at least they know people have got it, or understood it, or are engaged to turn around and say, yeah, that would be, I'd have preferred if you did it like that. You go, okay, the next one I will do. Because there's opportunities in that, massive ones. Because once you've got that engagement, they may come back and say, I'm trying to learn Python. Can't find the training videos, the ones that, because it may be problem specific, which is often the videos I do internally. You try to walk people through a specific task, and you build up a small library, all these little mini videos, so that instead of them keep asking you, they can go into the library. In the same way, if somebody new starts, they're already in the library. They don't have to have a training session. But even that could be another business, helping companies overcome skill shortages. And not just like, hey, I will teach you Excel. How do you transfer knowledge between one person and another, even in the business? Because there's so many tools out there, but because there's so much going on for most people, they're not absorbing it, because we've got data overload going on. It's like the media. The whole thing, the whole media opening up was that you'd have the opportunity to be able to access all the information to draw a informed conclusion. Well, we know how well that's working, and that's in so many things. But anyway, yeah, I mean, I'm here in Spain for another week, and then I'm going to be heading back to the UK for another few weeks, probably down in London again, because we've still got some key issues down there. But the opportunities are moving. But like I said, one of the key things, guys, if you're sending on this journey, don't overthink it. It's a bit like I want to get fit. You don't need to spend money on gym equipment. What you need to do is work out what you need to do on the basics. Go for a walk every day. Tell Alexa what time you want to go. Alexa, set alarm for 3 a.m. Whatever. Don't do that, Alexa. But start with walking. I've got one of these rolling things that's good for the stomach, tightens it up. My son's got what do you call it, dumbbells here, so we use those, and I've got the bands, which work really well. The main issue I had was time, but even now I'm starting to do at least 30 minutes every day. You go, 30 minutes, it's nothing. 30 minutes, nothing. The point being is you start there, because I can find 30 minutes a day. When I've got more time, I do more. It's just getting the journey moving, because once it's moving, it gets momentum. But has much changed since last week? Work-wise, I've got things under a lot more control about some of the problems that we've got on site, which means I get more control over my time. Obviously, we're starting to develop the board, starting to see some ideas developing. Another thing that's worth doing, not just the board, is getting pen and paper and allocating an hour on a Sunday to start mapping stuff out. So for example, I want to do the ebooks, so rather than thinking which ebook or whatever, and you start overthinking which is the priority and all that sort of stuff, I will literally go, you know what, I'm going to start the book on the Philippines this week. Now bizarrely, this may shock you, I've got at least 4 books that I've already started about writing on the Philippines, because I know I overthink as well. Because I write from different perspectives. You got like your first visit to the Philippines, one book. Another book on what I did and achieved in the Philippines. Another one on relationships in the Philippines. Another one, and you end up with a library. Everything started, nothing finished. So the point is, I'm going to sit there and I'll pick one of those that I've already started and go, finish that. Don't think about it, just do it. And some of it is like that. That was like the crypto. It was literally just start it. Don't even think about is it viable or whatever. We'll find out. You know, we could see there's opportunity, you could see there's money, you could see it's quite simple. Let's just hit it and make some cash. So we did. And sometimes that's the best method, especially if you're doing nothing. I mean, this is a statistic you might find interesting. To be in the top 1% of the people on the planet financially, you just got to be earning over $32,000. I earn more than 3 times that already, but thanks to taxation, I can't do with it anymore. But the point being is, you're already doing quite well. And if you're earning less than that, there's your benchmark. That's where you've got to work to. It's not that high, you know. And if you're in your early 20s or whatever, I'm not going to knock you back and say, well, you can earn more or whatever, because that's up to you. Was I earning more when I was in my 20s? Sometimes, because I changed jobs quite regularly when I was younger, because I've got an interest in learning new things. But I mean, when I was doing facility stuff, and that would have been, that would have been my high end of my 20s. I was touching nearly 80,000 a year then. That's pounds, not dollars. But not everything's money. If you're doing something you enjoy, that's fantastic. If you need to make extra money, it may not be changing what you're doing now. It may be a case of adding something else into the mix as a sideline. You know, because it may be you just want to top your money up. You know, maybe you want to do stuff in a band, but you can't afford the equipment because being a musician is hard to make a living. But you may be able to find other ways, like doing gigs or something that can fund it, or even being an Uber driver or something that funds it separately. The fact that if you're doing something that you've got a passion about, that's fantastic. There's nothing wrong with that. That's a fantastic way to be. And I get it, you know, like photographers, artists and others that will spend a lot of time with zero money, or because there's not a lot of profit sometimes in it, unless you've managed to break out into mainstream somehow. That doesn't mean you're doing something wrong, it just means that the supply and demand doesn't match. Nothing wrong with that. But if you still want to get ahead, diversify a little bit. You know, don't mean stop doing it. It means find something else to generate cash. If you're doing stuff there like an artist, as I've said, it doesn't matter what they're doing. They have a fantastic opportunity to sell stuff because they have, or you have, the ability to show something that other people aspire to be. So, for example, I know Stephen, your partner's very good at art. You'd be very good at doing YouTube videos on drawing and painting and sticking in the bottom the if it's all on Amazon, is the links to the types of products you use, because people think, oh, I'm going to do that, I can do that, and they buy it. Because if you're good at that type of stuff, it's a bit like Ronaldo. There's no way I'll ever play with football like Ronaldo. He sells a lot of bloody t-shirts though, doesn't he? Yeah, just want to throw that in as the end mix. I've looked tired today. I'm not sure what it is lately. I think I've had too much screen time for the last month or so, so my eyes seem to be sort of sore rather than tired. Or it could be hay fever, I suppose, because I don't normally suffer with a hay fever. Or maybe I don't know I suffer with hay fever. I might try something on that, see if it sorts it out. Anyway, thanks for watching, guys. Not a lot to report at the minute. We're still still sorting stuff out, but everything's moving closer. That's the key. Like I said, once I put the fund amount up there, which will be currently 5k something, and then it's payday at the end of the month as well, that'll go up by another 1,500. Things are moving. And this is the thing, when you start seeing it, you start thinking about it. Because I could throw all the money in there already, because I've got 3 pension funds as well, because I have the state one, and then I've got 2 corporate ones. So I could even add that in there. But I'm not going to, because it's unfair on other people that don't have those. And it's not as if I did anything towards them, they're just part of my business packages that I work on. So I'll keep those out, because that would actually wipe out at least 50 grand off there. That's £50,000. Let's just keep it moving. I'm going to set up a Discord to discuss stuff, and one of the things that's important about Discord, it's not me giving you your business opportunity. You know, it's about discussing stuff. Now, for example, if you're setting up a e-commerce site, it's about discussing the e-commerce site, you know, in the sense of how do I set one up? Anybody got recommended videos? I've spent ages and keep finding stuff that's useless, you know, it's not giving me the right information. That's what it's about, you know, sharing resources and knowledge, because it's not about robbing each other of business ideas, it's about everybody inputting their time, because you've already invested your time. It's a bit like same with the Excel tutorials. I can sit and write them back to back, one after the other, because a lot of them are very, very simple. And if you look through this channel, there's some Excel videos I've done in there with over 250,000 views, because there's a lot of technology stuff, and I love technology. That's me, you know. I'm gadgets galore, me. I mean, just out there's 5 or 6 drones, horrendous amount of camera equipment. I don't even want to talk about how much I've spent on that. But the point being is, there is massive opportunities to do this stuff, but it's keen that everyone works together, and it's not like, say, giving up something. But for example, if somebody's doing something with Python and I've got a problem they can't solve and someone else can actually help, that's what it's about. Doesn't mean you go, hey, pay me, I've got a solution for that. I'd much rather people just bounced off each other, because that same person may need to understand, the person that's doing the Python piece and got the solution may need to understand how to do merchant processing, something I know about. So the point being is, there's a lot of stuff in there. We have a massive amount of knowledge between us that we can utilize for the benefit of each other. I think we'll keep the Discord group open as well. I think later down the line we'll make it private, because I want it to become more of an exclusive thing, rather than people just come in and just steal it for knowledge. I'd much rather people invested into it. But let me know your thoughts on that, because we're a group here, it's not just me. Put your comments below. Should we open it up to everybody, or should we make it a private group? Thanks for watching.